Okay, I want you to imagine something for a second. Picture a machine that is so incredibly smart and so good at sneaking through the hidden plumbing of the internet that even the people who built it are absolutely terrified to let the public use it. We're so used to AI writing essays or generating funny pictures, but what actually happens when an artificial intelligence learns how to hack?
Welcome to The Explainer. So today I'm throwing on my Red Team expert hat. And if you're wondering what that is, think of me as a professional ethical hacker, someone who breaks into computer systems just to figure out how to protect them better. We have a really urgent briefing today on what is probably the most powerful and arguably the most dangerous AI ever built. It's a model from a company called Anthropic. It's called Claude Mythos, and right now it is being kept firmly locked behind closed doors.
All right, let's get into part one, the secret AI leak and how a digital superpower was exposed.
So how did the world even find out about this thing? It honestly played out like the opening scene of a spy thriller. Claude Mythos was originally developed under this incredibly non-threatening internal code named Capybara. But trust me, there is absolutely nothing cuddly about what this AI can do. It's a general-purpose model, which means it can reason across a ton of different topics. And it has what's called a 1 million token context window. To put that in plain English for those of you studying this stuff, that basically means you can hand it hundreds of textbooks worth of raw computer code all at the exact same time, and it remembers and analyzes every single line perfectly. The world first caught wind of Capybara on March 26th. A tiny misconfiguration on Anthropic's website accidentally leaked a draft blog post. The cat was out of the bag, and Anthropic was forced to officially announce a highly restricted preview a couple weeks later on April 7th.
Moving right along to part two, hunting for zero-day bugs and exposing the internet's hidden flaws.
Now, what actually makes Mythos so terrifyingly powerful? It isn't writing poetry. It is its unprecedented ability to hunt down deep, hidden software vulnerabilities. Let's bust some technical jargon right now. In cybersecurity, we are completely obsessed with something called a zero-day vulnerability. I want you to imagine your school building. You think it's perfectly secure, right? The alarms are on, the front doors are locked tight. But a zero-day is like a hidden underground maintenance store that was accidentally left unlocked when the school was built 30 years ago. And nobody, not the principal, not the architect, not the security guards, even knows it exists. Finding one of these is the ultimate prize for a hacker, because once you find it, you literally have 0 days to fix it before the bad guys can use it to just waltz right in.
And this is where Mythos gets scary good. Just think about the number 27 for a second. Mythos autonomously scanned millions of lines of code all by itself, and it found a critical, hidden vulnerability that had been sitting entirely undetected for 27 years. This perfectly illustrates the sheer scale of what we're dealing with here. That 27-year-old bug, it was hiding in OpenBSD. And OpenBSD is an operating system that is literally famous worldwide for its bulletproof security. Mythos didn't stop there. It also found a 17-year-old bug in FreeSD that allowed full remote hacker access, and a 16-year-old bug in FFmpeg. And if you don't know what FFmpeg is, it's basically the hidden software engine that decodes and plays video on almost every single app on your phone. Human security researchers had stared at this exact code for decades and completely missed these microscopic mistakes. Mythos just found them effortlessly.
Which brings us to part three, AI versus human hackers in the benchmark showdown.
So how does the machine actually stack up against the best human hackers on the planet? Well, we look at the CyberGym benchmark. CyberGym is basically the ultimate standardized test for AI hacking abilities. It measures how well an AI can find a software flaw and then weaponize it. Anthropic's previous top model, Opus 4.6, scored a pretty respectable 66.6%. But Mythos, it scored 83.1%. Now, that 16-point jump might sound a little small, but you have to understand, in the cybersecurity world, every single percentage point represents a massive real-world security impact. It proves that Mythos isn't just guessing anymore. It is autonomously engineering its own attacks.
To really put that into perspective, check out this number, 72.4%. When researchers gave previous AI models a highly complex, known vulnerability in the Firefox web browser, those older models could only figure out how to write a working exploit about 14% of the time. Mythos successfully wrote a functioning, complex exploit 72.4% of the time. It's leaving every previous model out there in the absolute dust.
And that leads us directly to this staggering quote from Anthropic's own internal red team. They describe Mythos as capable of surpassing all but the most skilled human security researchers at finding and weaponizing software flaws. As students learning about tech, I really want you to grasp the gravity of this. Mythos acts like a tireless, elite team of hackers working 24/7. It doesn't need to sleep, it doesn't need coffee breaks, and it can literally read an entire operating system's source code in minutes.
All right, part 4, the VIP partner advantage and Project Glasswing. If this thing is really that dangerous, who actually holds the keys to this digital superpower? Let's talk about the economic and global fallout of this technology. Anthropic realized pretty quickly that releasing this to the open public would be an absolute disaster, so they launched something called Project Glasswing. Instead of a public release, they restricted access to roughly 40 highly vetted elite partners. We are talking about Apple, Google, Microsoft, JP Morgan, and the Linux Foundation. Only these massive infrastructure giants get to tap into Mythos. And by the way, many of them just happen to be massive financial investors in Anthropic too. What this does is create a massive, almost unprecedented divide. We're looking at the privatization of intelligence. On one side, you have the haves, these elite megacorporations who now have a super brain to scan all their code, fix their flaws, and even discover new legal and business strategies way faster than anyone else. And on the other side, you have the have-nots. That's independent developers, startup companies, students like yourselves, and the general public. They are entirely left behind without access to the same level of digital power.
And honestly, even if they decided to release it publicly tomorrow, the cost alone is a huge gatekeeper. Anthropic is pricing access at a staggering $125 per million output tokens. That means only the wealthiest organizations on the planet can actually afford to let this AI sit there and grind away on complex problems all day long. It's a huge competitive advantage, and it's concentrated right at the very top.
Finally, let's look at Part 5, a cyber defender's dilemma and the symmetric nature of hacking.
This brings the whole story back to an incredible moral dilemma for cyber defenders like me. The key thing to understand about white hat hacking is that hacking is a perfectly symmetric skill. What I mean is, the exact same technical ability that it takes to find a hidden bug and patch it to save the internet is the exact same skill an attacker uses to find that bug and crash the internet. It's the ultimate double-edged sword. If a tool like Mythos falls into the wrong hands, the damage would be just off the charts.
And that is exactly why Anthropic is playing defense here. Through Project Glasswing, they are running a very strict responsible disclosure process. Step 1, Mythos gets access to the private code of those elite partners. Step 2, it tirelessly scans for those crazy zero-day vulnerabilities. And Step 3, it secretly reports what it finds directly to the developers. That way, they can fix the internet's plumbing way before the attackers even know a vulnerability exists.
Because here is the reality of the situation. The future safety of our digital world relies entirely on humans teaming up with AI. In the near future, tools like Mythos are going to automate incident response, they'll catch catastrophic bugs before software is even sold, and they'll act as a massive force multiplier for human defenders. We're going to absolutely need AI to protect things like our power grids and our hospitals from attacks that are generated by other malicious AIs.
Which brings us to a very sobering reality check from Anthropic themselves. They said, in the long run, we expect that defense capabilities will dominate, but the transitional period will be fraught. Now, fraud basically means filled with anxiety and danger. And guess what? We are currently living right in the middle of that highly dangerous transition period. The AI is smart enough to find the bugs right now, but not all the software in the world is patched yet. Literally anything can happen at this point.
So I want to leave you with one final, really provocative question to chew on. Does locking away a digital superpower like Claude Mythos actually make the world safer from cyber attacks? Or does it just gatekeep world-changing artificial intelligence, keeping the ultimate competitive advantage safely inside the pockets of a few giant tech corporations at the very top? I'm going to let you be the judge of that. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I will see you in the next explainer.